So since it's been about a month and a half since we got the last chapter, I'm just taking an estimation, I can't really remember. Of course, Ishida Sui has Ellie recap the entire story to us, in case some readers have forgotten. See, the thing about Ishida Sui is you can really tell that he's having fun writing Choujin X. He takes a lot of creative liberties, and this is why I love the series so much. Already better than Tokyo Ghoul, but with that being said, we proceed. Ice goes on to say to Tokyo, I want to know who I'm battling. You can't just say you're nobody. And then Tokyo's like, you're just like my boss, man. You're a little stern, a little stubborn, whatever. That's kind of what he's saying. You can see the similarities in their personalities. They're both very reserved and kind of classy. The two I'm speaking of being Ichiro Sato and then this new guy, the Ice Choujin. Ellie sees Tokyo. Tokyo sees Ellie. It seems like they've never really left each other, you know, they're just back to the same old shenanigans. And then Ice interrupts them and he just attacks. And now you see Tokyo reacting to these attacks, dodging them, blocking them with relative ease. And it's just such a good feeling to see how good and capable Tokyo has become at hand-to-hand combat. A lot of people were expecting Tokyo to come back from this time skip as a monster, and I think we've gotten it somewhat. I don't think Tokyo is this overbearing Kaneki Ken that we wanted to see him become, but he's certainly strong. He's parrying Ice's attacks. He clearly has the edge in hand-to-hand combat before Ice transforms. He's wielding the Choujin slaying blade. He's very powerful, he's very competent, and it feels good to see him come this far. Because in most of his fights before the time skip, he was always running away from the enemy, finding some inconvenient way to attack with like the Tokyo rocket and charging at people. Just all these very unskilled and dumb ways to attack, let's be honest. But now he's fighting with coordination, skill, and efficiency. It's a really great thing to see out of this guy. And although I kind of did just lowball Tokyo's ability to fight by saying he's not like this big Kaneki Ken figure we wanted to see, in this fight you have to keep in mind that Tokyo is damaged, he's injured, and he's not using his raise, so he could be even stronger than what we're seeing now. When he shoots the feathers at Ice and Ice blocks it, and he uses that as a diversion to fly into the air and try and swipe at him with his blade, I just found that to be extremely impressive. That's something you would see out of all the other characters in the series, you know? You wouldn't think Tokyo would be the person to do something like that, but he's grown. He's developed his battle IQ, his physical strength, all these things throughout the 1 year, and that's exactly what he wanted to do. And it's a bigger deal than what it first seems because this is Tokyo who has finally discovered his purpose, right? If you remember, he left because he didn't know what he wanted to do until he wanted to protect everybody. And now that he's focused on protecting everybody, he's grown so much as a fighter. It's crazy. Tokyo set his first real goal in his life and he absolutely achieved it. And he'll go on to do much more. And this is why he's such a well-written character to me. But after the first phase of the battle, Ice goes ahead and activates the Ice Paladin, Chill Paladin, something like that. Basically a transformation. And then he goes all out, kind of goes crazy. But he throws his Ice Spear at Tokyo. Tokyo catches the Ice Spear and redirects it, missing the Ice Choujin on purpose and hitting the side of Ellie that's obviously in the ice so she can be freed from it. If you remember in the last chapter, the Ice Choujin put Ellie in a block of ice. That's why she's not really helping here. But now she is, because she shoots out a bunch of smoke on the Ice Choujin, which melts his armor and allows Tokyo to land a direct blow on the Ice Choujin's leg with the anti-Choujin blades. Then Tokyo swoops down, captures the Ice Choujin, and like stomps on his face to hold him down, of course, not to be brutal. But the shock from Tokyo stomping on his face with a broken leg obviously hurts Tokyo, which honestly, I don't like this moment that much, but whatever. Stuff like this is not my cup of tea, especially after a time skip. I don't want to see Tokyo being incompetent in any way for another 2-3 chapters, but it's consistent with this character, so fine. Tokyo's on the ground writhing in pain because he hurt his broken leg, and the Ice Choujin gets up and starts to run away. But then Azuma, Simon, and Monoma come in and finish the job by capturing the Ice Choujin with Azuma's chains. And then Azuma stares down at Tokyo while Tokyo's still on the floor. And he doesn't speak to him, he just turns around and walks away. Then he goes over to Ellie and frees her completely from the ice. But it's a little frustrating that Azuma won't speak to Tokyo at all in this chapter. I get why he's mad and it makes sense, but I think the silent treatment's a little too far. If anything, he should be scolding Tokyo left and right, but the silent treatment? Come on, man, like, it's not that serious. But Ellie gets freed from the ice, runs straight to Tokyo, and now they're like kind of just collecting themselves, right? They're talking to each other. And Ellie asks, why didn't he use a raise? And Ichiro Sato told him not to use the raise. He said that, which was something I had said was possible in either my last chapter or in one of my Tokyo videos. I can't really remember, but I'm glad I called that. I knew that was the case, you know. So Ichiro comes out and he was already watching the entire thing, of course. You know, he's always in the shadows. But he says to Azuma and Ellie that they've gotten much stronger than before. But despite this, Yamato Mori's guards aren't what they used to be. It took you a lot of work to catch ice. Now this is something I want to talk about. Now I remember when Ishida Sui was writing the drafts for this chapter and he was live streaming it, and you were able to tell what was going on a little bit but not all the way. Like, you weren't able to see that Monoma was in this chapter at all, so you thought it was a 4 against 1. But I remember complaining about this chapter in the drafts because, look, I barely complained about Choujin X, but I had said that requiring 4 people against 1 Choujin is nuts. That's horrible. I said that. And I was getting fried for saying this. I was getting cooked. Oh, they want to protect each other, da da da. I'm like, despite this, we have never seen a 4 versus 1 except for a Choujin X. So yeah, I was getting cooked for making that statement. Like, I think it's just ridiculous that they need 4 of them, especially Tokyo after time skip needing help in his first fight. Come on, man. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out because it feels good seeing Sato say the same thing, like he's pointing it out. So obviously, there's something that Ishida Sui intends to do with or about this. In other words, he's recognizing this as a problem that's in the story and he intends to have the character solve it. It's not just Ishida Sui writing willy-nilly and for some reason making a 4 against 1 and making the 4 characters look incompetent. It has something to do with the story and it's something that he'll address. But let's get back into the chapter. So, Ice Guy basically escapes because Batista set like a portal in his tongue. You don't question Batista's abilities at this point. Guy can do anything. We don't, we just let it rock. So once they get away, Ichiro is like, I guess he got away. But something he does to Tokyo, and I forgot to point this out, sorry, but he scolds Tokyo for not raising in this battle, I think. That's how I took the interaction. And something he does to Tokyo is he stomps on Tokyo's broken foot right before they leave. I'm pretty sure that's punishment for being stupid and not raising. Because although Sato said, look, don't raise anymore, you don't need to raise and train without raising, the point still stands that Tokyo was in a dangerous situation and he still chose to not fix his leg, which allowed the Ice Choujin to get away in the first place. I really do like this detail because it shows that Ishida Sui can instill a lesson into these characters without much focus or much paneling or many pages. Tokyo won't do this again because it took Ishida 3 panels to communicate that Sato scolded Tokyo for doing something that dumb. And what this is also communicating to us is that Tokyo is still making bad decisions in battle despite it being a year and despite his accomplishments over the time skip. He's still doing dumb things. I like it, I don't. In the middle, who cares, right? Maybe I'll grow to like it more. Everybody leaves and Tokyo's on the bike with Azuma and Azuma won't even speak to him and Tokyo's just looking at him, and that's where we cut from the main crew. We cut to the tower and all those characters and we see Jing, Tawashi, and Ice. And they're all in the tower just walking up and getting like recouping because obviously they failed their mission and so they must report it. When they arrive to report the results of their missions, there's Batista, Nari Sumuji, this new goat Baphomet-like character called Vlad, and this black Iron Knight with a huge blade. He looks awesome, can't wait to see him in action. Something to point out here is that it seems as if Nari really is a part of the tower now. If you remember, she was just affiliated with them. through contracts and things like that, kind of like Umezawa was in Ricardo. Yo, side note, I can't believe I'm remembering all these characters' names, but let's focus. It seems as if she's a part of the tower and is as important as Batista is, because, you know, she's also judging these guys. Like, she's sitting with them on the sides like she's a big shot. Anyways, we're introduced to Elder Bador Vlad, and Vlad kind of recaps to us the big narrative of the story and why Zora does what she does. The backstory when she first saw the Dark Calamity, which is very necessary because it's so easy to forget such important details. Too many details in the story, and you have to reread it a lot to really get what's going on. Good thing, bad thing. I think it's more of a good thing than a bad thing because every detail does matter in this story again, so there's a lot of nuance to the story. I enjoy it, but I also like that Ishida goes ahead and he reminds the readers of everything that's going on because it can be so easy to forget, especially when he's releasing a chapter every 1 to 2 months. Vlad goes ahead and he attacks the 3 students or the 3 stooges, and I'm not gonna sit here and guess his ability. Just looking at the guy and seeing what he can do, it's gonna be too hard to guess. Probably some eldritch god Choujin, something like that. After Vlad attacks the 3, we cut to Nari and Batista. And Nari's saying to Batista, like, it seems like Vlad was mad today, and Batista's like, that's to be expected. And he goes on to explain that we're running out of time to bring the beast to Zora, because her powers are going to expire and she may not be able to pass those powers down to somebody else. And it would be a waste to waste the powers of an X. And Batista goes on to explain that her last rampage was also terrible and she became very impatient and she was bestowing her mark against every believer she saw. And since she was just killing her own people by doing this because most people can't handle the mark, Chandra Hume tried to stop her. Then she said that she will kill all renegades, and Chandra got away. He somehow escaped a Choujin X. I think Batista had a hand in that. There's no way Chandra without his powers was getting away. No way. Even with his powers, I don't think he'd get away. But with that info dump, Batista says that this could possibly lead to the end of the tower. And that's why they're looking so hard for a successor to Zora. And Nari's like, can't we just give this a rest? Like, what's the big deal about it? And Batista goes on to say, if we lose her, Yamato Mori would take full control of the land. This would mean that all the outcasts of Yamato Mori, Japan, all the Choujins that don't follow Yamato Mori wouldn't have a place to belong anymore. So Nari's like, okay, it makes sense. And then Batista says, now you get it. So this could possibly mean that Batista isn't really a part of the tower. It could mean that he's just in here so he has a place to stay. But he also cares about destroying Yamato Mori for his own personal reasons. Not really because he believes in Zora and her prophecies and all of that, but it's shown to us in his flashback that Mato had forced Sandek to kill Batista. So he just has a grudge against Yamato Mori. So it's a personal grudge against Yamato Mori, plus needing a place to stay. So that's really good. We got some insight into Batista, his past, a little bit, but it's enough. And we can see that he's not really as mad and as insane as all these other characters are. I mean, he is, but he doesn't believe in all these prophecies, the Dark Calamity, or he doesn't really care for it as much as everybody else does. He just wants his own thing with a little bit of a personal goal, a personal vendetta. And again, this is playing into the fact that he looks just like Furuta and he's kind of resembles him. Just saying, Kaneki, Furuta, Azuma, Batista, something going on there. Anyways, that'll conclude my review today. Usually I would do some epilogue to it, but I think I spoke enough during the review. It's just so happy to finally have another chapter. Hopefully the next one comes out soon. Anyways, if you enjoyed, consider liking, subscribing, and of course, I'll see you guys at the next Choujin X review. And if you somehow sat through this entire thing without reading the entire series, read the series now. I don't need to say this a billion times, okay? Read this series. It's the best ongoing series. But again, thank you so much for watching despite that, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.